Let's go, let's go, let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from around the world, it's time for the Ramon Preston Show. Good afternoon. Happy Friday. Just in case you've been somewhere else this morning, it is 12 o'clock noon Eastern Standard Time. Today is Friday, March the 28th, and this is the day that the Lord has made. We are rejoicing and we are glad in it. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Ramon Preston Show. If you are coming on, joining us live on this beautiful Friday, I want you to do me a favor. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and you should be tagging Lolly Dolly everybody and letting them know that your boy, Ramon Preston, my squad, we are live right here in the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta, and you, my friend, are watching the Ramon Preston Show. Welcome to the show. I am your host, Ramon Preston, every Monday through Friday, 12 o'clock noon, Eastern Standard Time. We show up here live to share information with you about your business, about your finances, about your investments, about your life, about your legacy, about your future, about what you need to be doing to make sure that wealth is your portion. So good afternoon. Thank you for joining the show. I appreciate all of you, every follower, every subscriber, every person who watches the show, who supports the movement. Thank you so very much for being a part of our community. I consider you to be a part of our family. So since today is Friday and we're not going to be live Saturday and Sunday, we're only here Monday through Friday. We'll be back Monday. I wanted to make sure that I gave as much value as I could today on the show. And we're going to be talking about revenue strategies, okay? That's what we want to talk about today, revenue strategies, which, by the way, I owe all of you just so much gratitude and appreciation. Our YouTube page, we are approaching 14,000 subscribers on YouTube. We're approaching 14,000 subscribers on YouTube. So if you are watching us today on YouTube, thank you so very much for subscribing to our YouTube page. Thank you for supporting our YouTube page. If you are not a subscriber on YouTube, make sure that you circle back around today. Go to YouTube, type in Ramon Preston, and subscribe to our YouTube page as we approach 14,000 subscribers. Of course, if you're watching from Facebook, LinkedIn, or any other social media platform, we appreciate your time. We appreciate your participation, okay? Just wanted to put that out there. So thank you very much. Today we want to talk about revenue strategies. Revenue strategies. Now, I want to make sure that I give you a professional definition for what revenue strategies are. And then I'm going to be sharing with you five things that you must consider when you are developing revenue strategies for your business, okay? So before I get into these five things, please, if you're watching us live on this beautiful Friday, would you be so kind to put in the comments what city, what state you're watching your boy from? Let me know who you represent. Put it in the comments. Let me know where you're watching the Ramon Preston Show from. Shout out to Mr. DL. Good morning, good afternoon to you, my friend. I am doing absolutely, positively amazing. Life is amazing. God is amazing. So I choose every day to be amazing. Thank you for asking. Again, please put in the comments what city, put in the comments what state you are watching the Ramon Preston Show from. Okay? Please let us know where you are watching the Ramon Preston Show from. I would love to know where you're watching the show from. So today we're going to be talking about revenue strategies, and I'm going to share with you 5 things you need to consider when you are developing revenue strategies. I've got some good notes that I typed in my phone so that I wouldn't forget the most important things that I want to share regarding revenue strategies, okay? So let's begin by explaining what a revenue strategy is, because this is something that every business owner should have. This is something every entrepreneur should have. The truth is this: a revenue strategy is something every individual should have, even if you own a fixed income, even if you're unemployed, even if you work on a job as a W-2 employee. I say this all the time. It really doesn't matter where you are in your life, what you're doing or not doing in your life, how much you're making. All of these principles that I teach and concepts that I talk about and strategies that I share, they all apply to everybody. You just got to be willing to put them to practice, okay? So, what is a revenue strategy? A revenue strategy is a plan that highlights how you, as an entrepreneur or a business owner, must maximize your income streams and your overall profits. So basically, when you, as an entrepreneur, individual, business owner, whatever you do, when you have a revenue strategy, that means you have a plan that you're putting in place to highlight how you and your business will maximize its income streams, will maximize its overall profits. Now, you might not know how you're going to execute all these things. We'll talk about that next week on the show. You might not know where the mechanisms are that you're going to need, but you still need to understand that in order for you to maximize income streams and profits, you have to put a plan in place to do that. And that plan is called a revenue strategy. Every business owner needs to have a revenue strategy, because the fact that you have a revenue strategy proves that you are consciously aware that there are certain things you need to be focusing on, which, by the way, as an entrepreneur, as a CEO of a company, as a business owner, guess what, bruh, sis? You are the one who holds the primary responsibility to put a plan in place to determine how you're going to maximize your income streams, how you're going to increase your overall profits. That ain't nobody else's responsibility. And if you blaming that on other people, the devil, the government, or some other, foreign entity, it is because you have not taken the responsibility for your own revenue strategies. Okay? So a revenue strategy is a plan that highlights how you, as an entrepreneur and a business owner, and your business will maximize its income streams and overall profits. I want you to hear this because I took good notes to share with you today. Revenue is the first step in building a profitable business. Oh my God, that is a mic drop. Could you please back that thing up, bruh, and say it one more again for the people who's sitting in the back? Let me say it again. Revenue is the first step in building a profitable business. Revenue is the first step in building a profitable business. Most entrepreneurs, and I hate to keep shading entrepreneurs, but sometimes entrepreneurs so thick-headed they don't want to listen to what people like me trying to tell them. Most entrepreneurs don't understand that revenue is the first step in building a profitable business. Not your website, not your domain, not your credit report, not how many credit cards can you get, not going to Navy Federal and trying to finesse them out of 20 grand. That is not the first step in building a profitable business. I can promise you this. Most of the entrepreneurs that I talk to who are planning to build a business from the ground up, most of them think that their biggest problem is, don't nobody want to give me no loan. Don't nobody want to give me a line of credit. I can't get the bank to give me nothing. You have no idea what you're talking about. You have no idea what you're talking about. Let me reverse the question. If somebody came to you with this bright idea about what they finna do in terms of starting a business, are you gonna just dump money into their hands just because they got a bright idea? Absolutely not. So what makes you think banks and credit card companies and credit unions are gonna do that for you? So let me read it again. Revenue is, ladies and gentlemen, revenue is the first step in building a profitable business. So even before I get to these revenue strategies or these things that you need to consider when you are developing revenue strategies, I want you to understand that if you think getting a line of credit, if you think getting a business loan, if you think getting some type of financial aid is going to be the biggest key to your business success, you are absolutely positively wrong. You are delusional and you're lying to yourself. Okay, let me say it again. Revenue is the first step in building a profitable business. So one of the most important steps, keys, components, whatever word you want to use to building a profitable business is actually generating revenue. That means I got to get a product, I got to get a service, I got to get an idea, and I got to take it to the marketplace, and I got to get somebody to give me money for that product, for that service, for that idea, okay? Even if it's not a physical product or a physical service, it may just be an idea. But unless, and in most cases, until I can validate that product, that service, that idea by getting somebody to exchange money with me, guess what? My business is not going to be profitable. That's why without revenue, a company cannot grow or sustain itself. Now, I have several companies under my holding company. I have partnerships. I work with investors. We have a lot going on inside of RP Capital, our private equity firm, because this is what we specialize in, right? But let me tell you something. I have certain business activities that don't generate revenue. So I know if I'm just a solopreneur with one business idea for a product or for a service, and I'm not generating revenue, I know I have a high probability that I'm going to fail. That's why 9 out of 10 businesses fail, because that business surviving, especially if it is independent as a business and it is not a integrated auxiliary or division to other businesses, that business got to generate revenue in order for it to grow and sustain itself. As a matter of fact, here's my last point, and I'll get to these 5 things to consider. A revenue strategy, this right here, a revenue strategy serves as the marketing arm for the company, surprisingly for most people. That's why you always hear people talking about sales and marketing, sales and marketing, sales and marketing, because those are the two like main veins, like the jugular vein and the main artery of a business. A revenue strategy also, it serves as the marketing arm for the company. It helps the company stand out in its industry and attract potential buyers. So when you are developing a revenue strategy, ladies and gentlemen, when you are developing a revenue strategy, okay? When you are developing a revenue strategy, when you're putting a plan together to determine how can you maximize your income streams and how can you generate more revenue as a solopreneur, entrepreneur, business owner, wherever you are, okay, professionally, there are 5 things you need to consider, okay? 5 things. The first thing you need to consider is what we call your MVP. You need to consider your MVP. MVP is a minimum viable product. What does that mean? That means you gotta have something to sell, dog. Bruh. You gotta have something to sell. You gotta have something to sell. You gotta take the idea and convert that idea to some product or some service. I was just having this conversation with a couple influencers the other day. I was telling them that if you're going to get that attention on social media, if you're going to be an influencer on social media, if you're going to have thousands upon thousands, at this point, hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people watching your videos, you need to basically have somewhere to take them. You need a product to offer them, a minimum viable product. You got to have something to sell them. Okay? You need an MVP. This is something that you need to consider. This is the first thing you must consider when you are developing a revenue strategy. The second thing you must consider is a USP. You must consider, and this is a must, a USP is a unique selling proposition. Now, my grandma was Jewish. She raised me. So my grandma would use like Jewish terms, right? And she would use terms like spiel. Have you ever heard that? Spiel. My grandma used to say things like, don't give me your spiel. I don't want to hear your little spiel. When I'm trying to explain to my grandma why she need to let me go outside. She used to say, don't give me your spiel. In other words, I don't want to hear what your unique selling proposition is, okay? But every entrepreneur and business owner who is developing a revenue strategy for their business, they need not only a minimum viable product, but they need a unique selling proposition. You need a spiel. You need to have something that hits people in the gut when you explain your product, your service, your business to them. Okay, like I can help you accomplish this in this time by this much when you do business with me. Whatever the spiel is, you need a spiel. You need a unique selling proposition. So you need to consider when you're developing revenue strategies, number one, MVP, minimum viable product, 2, USP, unique selling proposition, and number 3, PCP, you must consider your perfect client profile. Now, once I get through these, I'm going to take a few minutes if you have any questions to answer them. So please put your questions in the comments. I'll be more than happy to answer your question, especially when it's a question that needs to be answered. Okay, I'm not answering ridiculous questions, but if it's a question that needs to be answered, I'll answer it. So the third thing you must consider when you are developing a revenue strategy is your PCP. You must consider your perfect client profile. Now, this is important because you need to have a profile. Some people call it the avatar of what type of person are you proposing to? What type of person do you see buying your product? Like in a perfect world, what type of person would it be that will spend money with you? What does that person look like? And there are so many different dynamics that you need to think about when you're putting a perfect client profile together. Okay, it may be a certain race of people. It may be a certain demographic in a certain area. It may be a certain class of people. It may be a mixture of all of that. But you need to have a perfect client profile. Now, it doesn't mean you ain't going to talk to a lot of people. Like, for example, I'm on this show right now, live, running my mouth. I could be talking to the whole world. Okay, I could be talking to a whole lot of people. But in my mind, based on what I know I want to accomplish, there's a certain person, there's a certain perfect client profile that I have in mind. because I'm standing here giving you information, I'm educating you, I'm doing what I love to do, but at the same time, I have a product to offer you. I have a unique selling proposition that I can present to you, and I have a perfect client profile in mind. I know who the perfect person is that needs what we have to offer. We have complimentary advisory services. You see how I can jump to that, right? And I know our advisory services as a private equity firm can help someone who wants to put a financial plan in place, a business plan, an investment plan, or all three. And guess what? That perfect client at some point will hear me and they will respond and click the link in the description. They will call one of those numbers and we'll start that business exchange. But guess what? I still have to have a minimum viable product together. I got to have something to sell you. I got to have something to offer you. I have to have a unique selling proposition. I got to prove why RP Capital LLC is the company you want to work with if you're looking for strategic advisory. If that's what you're looking for financially in your business or with investments, I got to give you some unique selling proposition. And I already have that perfect client profile in mind, okay? So you need a PCP. The fourth thing you must consider when you are developing revenue strategies for your business is called a DBM. This is a dominant buying motive. Now, a dominant buying motive, a DBM, okay, is basically the reason you have in your mind for why you're going to click the link in the description. A dominant buying motive is the reason you have for going to Google and typing in a product and going to that website and buying it. A DBM, a dominant buying motive, is the reason why you go shopping, why you spend your money, why you invest your money. It is a DBM. It is a dominant buying motive. But I need to consider that when I am developing revenue strategies, because I need to understand what the motive of my potential client is. What is your motive? Your motive may not be to just learn a whole lot of stuff and take a lot of courses. That may sound good, but your motive may be you want to live a certain lifestyle. You want to drive a certain car, live in a certain house, be in a certain zip code. You want to travel the world. You want to be a blessing to a lot of people. You want financial freedom. You want to be happy. Whatever those motives are, I've got to figure out, how do I put a minimum viable product together? How do I put a unique selling proposition together to reach the perfect client profile to touch their dominant buying motive? Hopefully you can understand how powerful this is when you're developing revenue strategies. And last but not least, when you are developing a revenue strategy for your business, you must consider a CLV. A CLV is basically customer or client lifetime value. So when you consider the lifetime value of a customer, it just makes it easier for you to build a funnel, okay, that gives a whole lot of value up here, because you understand the CLV down here. Like, I can give you an easy example. Starbucks understands the CLV for someone like me, because I go to Starbucks every doggone day. And I spend at least, $13, $14, $15 every day I go. And that just depends on what city I'm in. Because if I'm in Miami, them protein boxes, they close to $8. Or the muffins, or the Dopios. Everything is more in different cities. If I'm in Vegas, right? Or New York or California, even certain parts of Atlanta, like Buckhead, you might get some higher prices. But my point is, Starbucks may understand the CLV, the customer lifetime value. So they're not just thinking about the $15 I spend today. They're thinking about how much of a caffeine addict I am. And over the life of my relationship, that $15 is going to turn to $150,000. For 30 years, I'm just buying coffee and Dopios and protein boxes. And anywhere I go, I'm stopping at a Starbucks. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of times you could give more value up here at the top of your funnel because you understand the lifetime value. And that changes what type of products you have. It changes your selling proposition. It changes how you approach your perfect client because you're looking at tapping into what their motive is. So I hope today's show help you understand how important having a revenue strategy is. And again, you could be someone who's planning to become a business owner, but I promise you this. These things that I'm teaching you, if you learn them and you put them to practice, whether you are in the process of starting a business or if you've already started a business, they're going to help you get where you want to go further. Don't be a knucklehead, okay? Don't be a know-it-all and think that you figured this out, because when you think you figured out business, you've actually lost, because there's so much you have to learn and you got to be willing to educate yourself. Even though I don't even want to push courses on you. I don't even want to push coaching on you. I just want you to heighten your awareness on how important it is for you to educate yourself, get the knowledge, and guess what? Even if you're not a course person, you're not I want to coach person, maybe that ain't your thing, at some point you need to have some type of professional conversation with someone who could help you figure out what the goal needs to be, what the game plan needs to be, and what the steps of execution needs to be in your finances, even in your business, and maybe for your future investments. And that's what my team and I are here for. In the comments, in the description, you'll see a link to our complimentary strategic advisory services for your finances. That says financial advisory. For your business, that says business advisory. For your investments, that says investment advisory. And we are offering this to our community complimentary. That's code for free 99. All you got to do is click the link. That link will prompt you to our advisory assessment form on our website at RP Capital. And if you complete that advisory assessment form, you will be able to put inside of that form what areas you would like for my team and I to help you craft a goal for you, a game plan, and some action steps. Once you submit that advisory assessment, my team and I will reach back out to you and we will take some time to help you craft it absolutely free, no cost to you. So you can click the link and feel free to take advantage of that strategic advisory opportunity. So let me take a look at any questions we might have before I go, because I tend to run my mouth and click stop streaming and end the show before I take a look at the questions. All right. So DL says, I'm a 1099 worker, have two years of income to get approved for a loan. Okay. He says, I have to level up my income to live the life that I want. I would need to employ people to reach that level that I want. I will have to buy trucking equipment, train, and find work for others. Absolutely. Matthew says, DL, I'm in the same boat, choosing to start my holding company partnership with my nonprofit to then start publishing. That's awesome, Matthew. We're praying for you. Looking forward to hearing some great reports from you. Let's see here. I have to use the nonprofit because I can't take in personal money just yet until it's enough to stop government assistance. It can all happen with digital products. Absolutely, positively, it can happen with digital products. And we're praying for both of you and all of you who are doing what you need to do on a daily basis to take your personal, your professional, and financial life to the next level. I think next week we're going to continue to talk about revenue strategies. I'll take some time to talk about the main types of revenue that you can start creating in your business. We'll talk about how to implement and execute some revenue strategies. So I have a lot of things that I could talk about regarding revenue strategies, but I wanted to at least lay a foundation so that you can understand what revenue strategies are and what things you need to consider when you are developing revenue strategies. So hopefully next week, Monday through Friday on the Ramon Preston Show, we will take every day to talk about some of the tactical strategies that you can implement to create more revenue for yourself and for your business. Please leave in the comments what your biggest takeaway was from today's show. Let me know what you thought about what we talked about today, and I pray that it brought a lot of value to you, and I'm looking forward to hearing more success stories as we continue to move into this year. So I love y'all. I appreciate you all. Thank you all for joining the Ramon Preston Show, and you already know we'll be back, same place, same time, 12 o'clock noon Eastern, Monday, right here on the Ramon Preston Show. Have an amazing